The first sentence my sister read out loud was the moment everything collapsed. I just want to thank my brother for always being gullible enough to help family. The room went silent. Forks froze halfway to mouths. Conversations died. Like someone had pulled the oxygen from the air. 30 faces turned slowly toward her and toward me. But this wasn't the small private dinner my parents thought they were staging. This was the boardroom of my company. And every single person in that room, investors, lawyers, and partners, had just heard my sister begin reading a speech designed to manipulate me out of $89,000. 3 weeks earlier, my mother had called. Me crying, real crying, the kind that made her voice shake. "Your sister is in trouble," she said. Deep trouble. I was sitting in my office staring at spreadsheets from a long week of work. Numbers have been my life for years. Building my financial consulting firm from nothing had taken nearly a decade. But family had always been my weakness. "What happened?" I asked. "It's Daniel," Mom said. Daniel was my sister Claire's fiancé. The same guy who'd bounced between business ideas like a bee hitting windows. "They invested in a property deal," Mom continued. "It collapsed. Claire's drowning in debt. If she doesn't pay it off soon, she could lose everything." "How much?" Mom hesitated. 89,000. The number hung in the air. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling tiles. That was a lot of money, even for me. But Claire was my little sister. When we were kids, she used to hide behind me when Dad yelled. I'd take the blame for broken things she'd done. Family. I sighed. "Let me think about it." "Mom's voice softened instantly. "You're such a good brother." 2 days later, Dad called. That alone was strange. Dad and I rarely spoke unless it was Christmas. "You heard about Claire?" He said bluntly, "Yes." "Well," he continued, "family helps family." I rubbed my temple. "I know. She talked to you at dinner Sunday," Dad said. "She wants to thank you personally." Something about that phrasing felt odd, but I ignored it. Sunday dinner was held at my parents' house, the same house where I grew up, the same house where I learned early that Claire was the favorite, but I pushed those memories away. Claire greeted me with a hug that felt rehearsed. "You're amazing," she said immediately. I blinked. "I haven't agreed to anything yet." "Oh," she laughed nervously. "Of course, I just meant you always support me." Mom beamed from the kitchen doorway. Dad poured wine like we were celebrating something. Dinner felt staged. Every conversation kept circling back to Claire's situation. Daniel sat quietly, barely making eye contact. Finally, Claire stood. "I actually wrote something," she said, pulling out folded papers. "A speech?" I asked, confused. "Well, kind of." Mom clapped softly like a proud stage mom. Claire cleared her throat. But then her phone buzzed. She glanced down and frowned. "Sorry," she said quickly. "Wrong time." "I'll read it later." The speech disappeared back into her purse. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I should have. The truth surfaced 3 days later, not from my family, from my assistant. "Someone emailed the wrong file," she said, stepping into my office. She handed me a printed document. The title read, "Claire Emotional Appeal Script." My stomach tightened. I started reading, and every word made my chest burn hotter. Start with gratitude. Remind him of childhood memories. Mention how lonely Mom would be if you lost everything. If he hesitates, cry. Say the phrase, "I don't know what I'll do without my big brother." That line worked when he was younger. At the bottom were notes, handwritten, my father's handwriting. "Remember, $89,000 is nothing to him. Make him feel like refusing would destroy the family." I stared at the page for a long time. My own parents had literally written my sister a script to manipulate me, and she was going to perform it. Something inside me changed that day. For most of my life, I'd been the dependable one, the helper, the fixer. But now I was curious just how far were they willing to go. So instead of confronting them, I called Claire. Hey, I said warmly. Hey, she answered instantly. I've been thinking about your situation. Silence. Hopeful silence. I want to help, I said. The excitement in her voice was immediate. Oh my God, really? Yes. I said calmly, but I want to do it properly. What do you mean? I want to hear your speech. Pause. My speech? The one you wrote. I said. You said you wanted to thank me properly. Her voice wavered. Oh, that thing. It's silly. I insist. Another pause. Okay, she said finally. When? Tomorrow. Where? I smiled slowly. At my office. But I didn't tell her one detail. The room. The next evening, Claire arrived wearing a nervous smile and carrying a small folder. I feel weird doing this, she said as we walked down the hallway. You'll be fine, I replied. She didn't notice the glass doors, or the large table, or the people already seated. 10 of them. My business partners, 2 investors, and 3 lawyers. They were there for a quarterly strategy meeting, but I told them beforehand they were about to witness something. Interesting, Claire stopped walking. Oh, she said quietly. I didn't realize you had people here. It's okay, I said casually. They don't mind. Every eye turned toward us. Claire's smile tightened. I can do this later. No, I interrupted gently. Please, go ahead. She looked at the folder, then at me, then back at the room. But she had rehearsed this moment, and she needed the money, so she opened the paper. I just want to thank my brother, she began. Her voice trembled slightly. For always being gullible enough to help family. The words echoed through the boardroom. My investors leaned back slowly. Claire kept reading. I know you've always had a soft heart, and sometimes that means people take advantage of you, but that's why I admire you. One of the lawyers raised an eyebrow. Claire swallowed. But this time, I'm the one asking for help. Her eyes grew shiny on cue, exactly like the script said. I'm drowning right now, she continued. And if you don't help me, I don't know what will happen to our family. My partner Marcus folded his arms. Claire sniffed dramatically. I don't know what I'll do without my big brother. She lowered the page and waited. But instead of sympathy, she saw 10 strangers staring at her like she'd just confessed to fraud. What? She whispered. I slid another document across the table, the script, with my father's notes. Her eyes scanned the page. Color drained from her face. You saw that? She breathed. Yes, I said quietly. The room was painfully silent. Claire looked around at the people. Watching. What is this? She whispered. My board meeting, I replied calmly. Realization hit her like a truck. You tricked me. No, I said. You tricked yourself. Her voice cracked. Mom and Dad told me to read that. I know, you set me up. I leaned forward slightly. No, Claire, I gave you a stage. I tapped the document, and you chose the performance. She stormed out of the room crying. But the story didn't end there, because later that night, my phone rang. Dad, what the hell did you do to your sister? He shouted. I let her speak. You humiliated her. No, I replied evenly. She humiliated herself. Mom grabbed the phone. How could you betray family like this? I laughed softly. Family? Yes. The same family that wrote a manipulation script? Silence. Then Dad growled. You're selfish. Something inside me finally snapped. No, I said. I'm done being used. 2 weeks later, I received another message from Claire. Not asking for money. Just 3 words. I'm sorry. I didn't reply immediately, but I did think about it. Because revenge doesn't always mean destroying someone. Sometimes it just means letting the truth speak loudly enough that everyone finally hears it. And that day in the boardroom, the truth had a microphone, and my sister had read it perfectly.